but the bank, as soon as you deposit this $100, is going to turn around and they're going to lend this money out to somebody else. So we have a whole generation of people that are really struggling to survive financially. If you want to retire right now, according to CNBC, you need something like $1.7 million. What's up, everybody? I am Jaspreet Singh from theMinorityMindset.com, where money minds rethink rich. Building wealth isn't always intuitive because most of us are never taught about financial education growing up, which is why so many of us get caught into these money traps which destroy our opportunities at becoming wealthy. That's why in this video, I put together some of our best clips that go over the money traps that you need to avoid. That way you can become wealthy. So let's jump right into it. There are some financial traps out there that are pretty obvious, like credit card debt. It's pretty obvious that if you have $10,000 worth of credit card debt where you have to pay 25% APR, this credit card debt is going to keep you broke. But there are other money traps that aren't so obvious. The reality is not only are most people not where they want to be financially, but most people don't even have $1,000 saved up in their bank account to protect them from an emergency. The fact of the matter is there's a lot of industries out there that profit when you don't understand money. The less you understand, the more they make, which is why you want to avoid these money traps. And I'm going to be going over 15 money traps in this video. But before I do that, I need you to do me a quick favor and punch that thumbs up button. The first money trap that you want to avoid is the $2 destiny trap. Please, God, let me be the lottery winner just this one time.
Not this time, Bunty.
The lottery is an interesting way to invest your money because your returns can be pretty good if you win. I mean, if you invest $2 into a lottery ticket and you win, you could win something like, I don't know, $10 million, depending on how big the lottery is. It could be billions of dollars, I guess. But if you just invest this $2 and you get that winning ticket, you can win a whole lot of money. The issue is you're not gonna win. The odds of you winning the lottery are 1 in 305 million. So you have a better chance to get hit by lightning 300 times than you do of winning the lottery. Now, this is where a lot of people say, but Jaspreet, I still have a chance to win, right? Yeah, technically you do still have a chance to win. And if you're that one lucky person, you could turn your $2 investment into $10 million. And this is where the majority of people think, let me double my odds. If I just buy more lottery tickets, now I got a better chance to win the big jackpot. That's why the average American is spending just over $80 a month on lottery tickets, which is right around $1,000 a year on lottery tickets, because if you buy more tickets, you improve your odds, and if you win the big jackpot, and the returns are huge. And so now, if you are spending $1,000 a year on lottery tickets over your lifetime, you're gonna spend around $40,000 on lottery tickets, assuming that the price of lottery tickets don't go up. And chances are, with your $40,000 investment, so 40 years, you are gonna win nothing. But let's take a look at this a little bit differently with the minority mindset. If you took the same $1,000 and instead of putting it into the lottery where you have a very, very, very small chance of winning, let's assume now that you invest this money for the next 40 years and you just get the average stock market return of 10% a year. That means over the next 40 years, you will be able to turn your $1,000 investment, not in the lottery, but in an investment, you will be able to turn your $1,000 annual investment into $500,000, $500,000. You just won the investment lottery because instead of taking your money and burning it here, you put your money somewhere useful, and now you actually have some money that you can play with. In the financial world, they call the lottery an idiot tax because the people that are blowing all their money on lottery tickets are, well, not always the most financially educated, which is why I want you to understand this. If you like numbers, take a look at this. Your odds of winning here are way better than you winning these odds. Here, you could win big, but you're probably not gonna win anything. Here, you can also win big. It's gonna take more time, but you have much better odds to win here. The second money trap you wanna avoid is falling into the 0% APR game. If you walk into the electronics store and you got $600 in your pocket to buy a TV, and you start looking at TVs and you find one that you like, the salesperson might come up to you and say, oh yeah, this is a really nice TV, but can I interest you in this super nice $2,000 TV? And you might say something like, well, I don't got $2,000 with me right now. I can only afford the $600 TV. At this point, the salesperson will say, oh, don't worry, you can buy this TV with no money down with a 0% APR and you can just pay it off in 12 months. You can keep that $600 in your pocket and you can invest it somewhere else so you can get a better return on your money, and now you can buy this $2,000 TV, pay it off in installments and pay $0 in interest. What could be better than that? The problem with 0% APR, even if you have $2,000 in your pocket, is you never feel the pain of actually spending your money because now you are just financing everything. You are playing the payments game, and you might think in theory, yeah, I could take that $2,000 that I have today and invest it and use my investment money to buy this TV now because I can just pay it off in installments with my investment profits. But the reality is nobody does that. What ends up happening for so many people, and the reason why 0% APR is so profitable, is because banks and financing companies understand that as soon as you go out and you buy this $2,000 TV with 0% APR, you still have money in your pocket. Now, you're going to be more likely to go to the furniture store and buy a bigger sofa set because now you can finance that with 0% APR. And then you're going to go to the computer store and buy yourself a new laptop with 0% APR. And so you're way more likely to spend more money because you never have the pain of money leaving your wallet today. Now, if you are a financially minded person, you might think, well, I'm not one of those people. I could use that money today and invest it and get a better return on my money. Now, even if that's the case, I don't want you to get into the game of financing liabilities, even if it's at 0% APR, because I want you to spend more of your energy and efforts building your assets, building your investments. That way you don't got to worry about the price of these $2,000 liabilities. That way you can afford to buy this with cash. So I want you to focus on just growing the investments and not worry about making the payments on your liabilities. The third money trap you want to avoid is not investing your money, especially when you're young. Most of us don't learn about money management and investing and wealth building and wealth protection when we're in school. We think that if we want to become successful, we got to get a good degree so we can get a good job. And once you have a good job, you're going to be set financially. I'm telling you from experience, I spent a lot of money on my education. I went to a good university. I went to law school, but I didn't learn a single thing about money or investing in the classroom. And now I make YouTube videos for a living. How you doing? So what ends up happening to so many people when you don't have this financial education is you graduate school when you're 20, 21 years old, and now you got all these student loans, and now you're finally in the real world because for the last 20 years of your life, people keep talking about what the real world is going to be like. And now you enter the real world and you get a job, and now you need an apartment and you need a car to get to and from work. And so now you got these student loans, you got your car payment, and you got this apartment fee that you got to pay. And now all of your money is going out here, and you're finally starting to make a little bit of money. And the last thing on your mind is putting your money into the stock market or using your money to buy real estate investment properties, because now you finally have some money. And so now you want to go out and buy yourself a nicer car, you want to have a nicer apartment, you want to start buying nicer clothes, you want to start living this nicer lifestyle because you finally got a degree and you finally got your job. And so now in your early 20s, you're not saving and investing your money, you're enjoying your life because you have your whole career ahead of you. Next thing you know, you're 30 and now you're thinking about settling down, and now you got to buy a house, and now you got to spend all of your money buying this house and renovating this house. And then you're thinking about having kids, and now you got to pay for your kids, and you got to think about their education, and you got to think about the food that they need, and you got to think about their diapers. And so you never think about this opportunity of really investing your money because you have all these other expenses that keep coming up. Now you're in your 40s and you're seriously starting to think about your retirement, and now you got to stop playing catch up because nobody taught you to start investing your money when you were younger. Here's a little bit of advice. No investor has ever in the face of this earth ever said that I wish I started investing later in my life. Time is one of the most powerful factors when it comes to really building your wealth and letting your money compound and grow, because if you start investing when you're 21 years old, and even if you don't have a ton of money, let's assume that you're only investing $300 a month. I know that's not a little bit of money, it's a decent amount of money, but if you just start investing with $300 a month at 21 years old, and you do this for the next 45 years, so until you're 66 years old, until you hit retirement, and you never raise that amount. So you always just keep investing the $300 a month, and let's assume that you get a below average return of 8% a year on your money. That doesn't mean that every single year your money is going to grow by 8%. Some years it's going to grow less, some years it's going to grow more, but on average, you're getting yourself an 8% return on your money. By the time you retire, when you're 66 years old, your $300 monthly investment is going to grow to $1.6 million. But if you start investing a little bit later, let's say that you don't realize this investing thing until your 40s, and now you're 42, 43 years old, and now you start investing your money and you want to make up for lost time. So now you start investing double this amount. you start investing $600 a month, and you're going to continue doing this until you retire, until you're 66 years old, and you can maintain that 8% annual return on your money. Now your money is going to grow to right around $500,000, even though you have doubled your monthly investment, just because you have less time on your side working for you. And so now, because you have less time, you're going to have a third less money than if you just started earlier. This is why time is so important, which is why it's so important for you to be investing in money. Now, if you do want to learn more about this, we have a free guide on money management, which if you haven't read yet, you can download it for free on our website, theminoritymindset.com, and I'll also link it for you in the description below. The fourth money trap that you want to avoid is sports betting. Digital sports betting is a brand new trend, and it's gaining a lot of steam, which is not a good thing. I mean, you have companies like DraftKings and FanDuel, which are encouraging you to go out and start betting on your favorite sports, and they're incentivizing you with free money. Get $100 to make your first trade, or win 100-to-1 odds if you're right here. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of these companies for a second, because if these companies are giving you all this money, or they're giving you these huge incentives to start investing, why would they be wanting to do that? Well, they know that once they got you in the app and once they got you hooked to sports betting, they're gonna be able to make so much more money because they know that you're gonna lose your money. The only person or team that's guaranteed to win when it comes to sports betting is the casino where you're betting your money. Number 5, the buy now, pay later system, or as we like to call it, broke now, broke later. The whole buy now, pay later option is kind of like the 0% APR option, except when people typically talk about 0% APR, they're usually talking about going to buy the new iPhone and then financing it over 12 months or 24 months with 0% APR. When I talk about buy now, pay later, what I'm talking about is when you go shopping online for clothes at your favorite e-commerce store, when you get to that checkout page, you have the option to now buy now, pay later because of things like Affirm and Afterpay. The whole idea here is you don't have to pay $100 for your clothes today. You can just pay your clothes in installments over the next 3 months or 6 months, and if you don't pay it in time, well, now you're gonna get slapped with a big fee. The reason why these buy now, pay later systems are becoming so popular is because they're making so much money. I mean, stores are realizing that they can sell so much more stuff if they just give you the option to pay later. And these companies that let you buy now, pay later are making so much money because they know that so many people are not going to pay their stuff on time. So now you got to pay them an insane interest rate to buy your clothes. I don't want you to play that game. Use your money to make yourself rich. Don't use your money to make your bank or these financing companies rich. 6th, your family is not financially prepared for a tragedy. As an attorney who is not your attorney, I feel obligated to tell you that it is very important for you to really think about estate planning early, because you never know when someone's gonna go, and so it's just better to plan ahead and have a will or a trust or just some sort of estate planning in place, because the last thing you want to happen is for you to unexpectedly die and now the government has to decide how to distribute your money. Trust me, you don't want the government managing more of your money. On the flip side, you also want to have insurance, because insurance is there as protection to protect you from worst case scenario types of situations. Now, I know no one likes paying for insurance, it's not fun, but it's a small price you pay today to protect you against a big headache in the future. So this is things like car insurance, home insurance, health insurance, and life insurance. The whole idea behind life insurance is if you were to tragically die and you're a breadwinner for your family, then your insurance company would come in and they would give your family a big check, say for $500,000 or $1 million, depending on what you decide. And now at least your family will be financially okay, so they don't gotta go and start a GoFundMe page or go and beg their family and friends for money so they have money to pay their bills and pay your funeral costs and just be able to survive. You never want to have to deal with that situation for yourself or your family, so think ahead and have life insurance to protect you. Now, I know this isn't a very fun topic to talk about and no one likes paying for insurance, but the good news is life insurance doesn't have to cost you a whole lot of money. Like if you're a healthy 30-year-old guy, you can get $1 million life insurance policy for less than $30 a month. I'm not going to go any further into life insurance in this video because we have a lot of things to talk about, but if you do want to see how you can get a free life insurance quote, you can check out our sponsor Policygenius, because you can go there and get a free life insurance quote in just a few minutes, and they stand by what they do, because if you can go out and find a cheaper life insurance quote somewhere else, they will pay you $100 for wasting your time. So if you want to see how you can get a free life insurance quote, I got the link to how you can do that with our sponsor Policygenius in the description below. The 7th money trap you want to avoid is using the casino as a way to get rich. I never found gambling to be fun. I've only gambled one time, and I went to the casino with my friends, and I took $7 with me. That was my maximum. I knew that I was only gonna gamble $7, no more, no less, and I knew that I wasn't gonna walk away with any money. I went in with the mindset that I'm gonna go and lose this $7. All of my friends were gambling way more, but I went in with that mindset. And I took my $7 and I started gambling it. And I turned my $7 into like $12. And I was like, wow, I made a lot of money. But I knew that this was not the place for me to really try to make money. So I just kept gambling the money until I was at zero, because I didn't go there to make any money. I knew that I was going to walk away with nothing. So I might as well just go in with that mindset and have a little bit of fun, so I don't care about walking away with any money. Personally, I like to go to places like Dave & Buster's and even Chuck E. Cheese more than I do casinos, but I guess that's just me. But there's a lot of people that don't think like me. Just like with sports betting, no matter what the odds are, at the end of the day, the house always wins. There's a reason why casinos are in these huge, massive, beautiful buildings. It's because they make so much money. And who do they make money from? Well, it's the people that are gambling away their life savings at the casino. Number 8, you live for Instagram. So this one isn't just a money trap, it's also a life trap. Because not only do you have so many people that are literally racking up credit card debt, that way they can have the most beautiful Instagram page in the world, but you also have people that are living their lives just for social media, and so they ignore their life out here and they live miserably with depression and anxiety out here in real life just so they can seem happy in their digital life. I mean, it can be really hard when you think you're doing everything right, but then you go on to Instagram and then you see these 22-year-olds driving i8s, and you see these 24-year-old guys that are jacked, that have these perfect families where everything looks great, and now you look at your real life and you're like, wait, why is my life missing all this excitement? Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. I have worked with quite a few social media celebrities, and a lot of the things that you see on social media are just poo-poo. There are people who have nice cars on social media, but they have no savings, that they have no investments, and they're living paycheck to paycheck just to make the payments on their car. There's people that look like they're perfect couples and perfect families on Instagram, but as soon as they get off of the gram, they're always fighting and arguing and they don't get along at all in real life, but on Instagram, they look great. It's not everybody. I mean, you have some people that are very successful and very accomplished and very happy that are on Instagram, but you just gotta remember that Instagram is a highlight reel. It's not somebody's real life. And so when you're looking at somebody's Instagram, you're just seeing the highlights, you're seeing the best parts. But when you don't understand that, Instagram really becomes a money trap, because you see everybody flexing with these nice cars, and you see people showing off this new clothes and people having these brand name stuff, and you think, wow, if all these people can have all this nice stuff and they're showing it off, maybe I should be doing the same thing too. I mean, it's like keeping up with the Joneses, but the digital version, because now it's trying to flex on Instagram where everybody's trying to show off and one up one another. Sometimes, honestly, one of the best things that you can do is just take a break from Instagram and Facebook and remember what's real and what's digital. I mean, I did the same thing. I spent like 2 years just completely away from my personal Instagram page because I wanted to kind of get away from that and just focus on me and focus on building minority mindset. And this brings me to number 9, using tomorrow's income to pay for today's lifestyle. So we live in a culture here in America where people really live on their emotions. We feel certain things, and when we want something, we gotta have it now, even if you can't afford it. And so how do you fund something that you want now when you don't have the money to buy it? Well, through the help of debt. When you go into debt to finance your Gucci wardrobe, or when you go into debt to finance your vacation to Cancun, well, you're using tomorrow's income to pay for today's lifestyle, because your debt is literally taking your future income and spending it today, and now you're going to spend your future income just paying back this debt plus interest. The number one reason why the majority of people will never become financially successful is because they have all their money going out to buy these liabilities, which are things that are not making them money. And not just that, they're using debt to finance these liabilities, and so now they have no money left over to make themselves rich, because now you have no money to buy assets or investments, which are things that will pay you for owning them, because the only thing that you own are a whole bunch of debt payments that you have to make every single month for the rest of your life. Number 10, you have no savings. This one might be hard to understand because a lot of us kind of grow up being told that saving your money is how you become wealthy. That's what I was told. But the reality is you're never going to become wealthy by just saving your money. Your savings are getting eaten away by inflation, and so saving is not the path to wealth. but saving does have its place. You should be saving your money for three things. You gotta save your money for emergencies, because guess what? Sometimes life happens and you're gonna run into emergencies, so you wanna make sure you have cash for that. You wanna have savings for investments, so you have money saved up to buy investments when an opportunity comes your way, and you gotta have savings to buy a big purchase. If you wanna buy a home, you wanna buy a car, you wanna buy something nice, it's gonna cost money, so you wanna have savings to do that. But the thing that I'm talking about here is you gotta have savings to protect yourself from emergencies, because the reality is when your window breaks, when your car breaks down, when your AC stops working, you need cash to fix that. And the last thing you wanna do is now you're trying to build your wealth, but you have no savings, and now the AC stops working, and so now you gotta go $2,000 into credit card debt because you didn't have any savings in the first place. Saving your money is not fun or exciting. I mean, it's literally just creating this cushion or barrier or kind of shield that way you have this money in a savings account that you hopefully will never have to use, but is there just in case. So I really like nice cars, and I want you to own a nice car, and I want you to drive a nice car, and I want you to have your dream car, even if it's a supercar. But the thing that you gotta understand about cars is cars are not gonna make you any money. Okay, your cars are just something you need to get you from point A to point B. It's like a shirt, okay? And a lot of people are buying cars thinking or putting a lot of energy trying to figure out how they can get the most value or the most money out of their car, and so they're spending hours of their lives trying to research how they can save a couple $1,000s on a car. But at the end of the day, your car is just a utility. It's just something to get you from point A to point B. And not just that, the average person in the United States is paying almost $600 a month to finance their new car. And so if you do not have this wealth built, if you do not have savings, if you do not have investments, and you have the ability to pay $500 or $600 a month for your car, your priorities are in the wrong place. The first thing you gotta do is get rid of your Beamer right now, okay? I like BMWs, but right now you can't afford one. Now, you gotta take this money that you were putting towards your car payment and put this towards your investments. That way now you have some investments, you have some savings, and you're building your wealth. Once you got that, now you can talk about buying a car. But the first thing you gotta do is you gotta build your wealth first. Once you got your wealth, now you can go out and buy a car without worrying about the price. Your wealth comes first, your car comes second. Once you got the wealth, once you got the first thing, buy yourself whatever car you want, because now you got the money and the wealth to afford it. Number 12, you don't got a plan for your money. For the majority of Americans, their financial planning kind of looks like this. So you make money from your job, some of your money goes into your 401k, and then you pay taxes, and then you have some money go into your bank account, and then you wonder where all of your money went. One of the easiest and most powerful ways to really start being better with your money and have more money for your savings and investments is just to create a financial plan for your money. That way now you're telling your money where to go, instead of you just always wondering where your money went. One of the simplest things that you can do is just follow our 75-15-10 plan, which says for every dollar that you earn from now on, 75 cents is the maximum that you can spend, 15 cents is the minimum that you should be investing, and 10 cents is the minimum that you should be saving. Now, as soon as you get paid, you can have your money go into different bank accounts, one for your spending money, one for your savings money, one for your investment money. That way now you know how much money you can spend on TVs and nice stuff, and how much money you should be investing, and how much money is there as a cushion to protect you as an emergency. The hardest part about doing this is just getting through the first 4 weeks, because everybody thinks, how in the world am I supposed to be able to only live off of 75% of what I make? But what you'll realize is all of us have expenses that we don't necessarily need. And so as you start cutting them off, now all of a sudden, 6 months later, you're gonna have a brand new investment account and a brand new savings account with cash that you never knew that you had. Number 13, you don't take risks. I was being interviewed for a documentary, and the person that was interviewing me kept asking me, what was the thing that kept me going as an entrepreneur, even when I felt like I wasn't gonna be able to succeed and it felt like everything was going against me? And the thing that I always remembered was, I'm young and I don't want to live with regrets. That line, I don't want to live with regrets, kind of was like burned into my mind, because yeah, maybe I would fail, but maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But the only way I'm gonna know is if I try. And at least now when I'm 60, I'm not gonna look back and wonder, I wonder what would have happened if I did something different when I was 22 or 23 or 24. Losing money can be painful, and making a mistake can be scary, and looking like a fool in front of all of your friends and family can be really embarrassing. I've been there for all of them. But the reality is these are kind of just the hurdles of getting to somewhere where you're not right now. Not everybody is cut out to be an entrepreneur. I'm not saying that you need to go out and start your own business. But you should be investing your money, and that is risky. I mean, putting your money in the stock market or making your first real estate investment has risks. And if you're not willing to take those risks, then you're never going to be able to reap the rewards of investing your money. You might lose money. I've openly talked about the mistakes that I've made as an investor. I even made a video where I talked about my worst real estate deal ever. If you haven't seen that video yet, I'll link it for you in the description below. But this is just part of the process. Without risk, you don't get any of the reward. And the more you do and the more you learn, the lower your risk becomes. Number 14, you're all about the brand name living before you can afford it. Gucci, Rolex, Louis Vuitton, all these things are cool, but you gotta remember, what do these things really mean? They're supposed to symbolize luxury and status and wealth, but if you don't have those things and you are really stretching yourself thin to buy it, then what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to hide some of your struggles or insecurities by buying these brand names? Are you doing this just to show it off on Instagram? Or are you doing it because you like the product and you can afford it? There's nothing wrong with you buying brand name stuff if you like it and you can afford it. But if you have this brand name stuff and now you're complaining about your money, or you don't have any savings, or you don't have any investments, and you don't know how you're going to become wealthy, well, now we have a problem. It's just like I said with the car. Get your wealth first and then buy the luxury second. And finally, number 15. This video wouldn't be complete unless I talked about it, but you're living that extra guac lifestyle. Every financial guru in the world loves talking about Starbucks and why you buying a $4 cup of coffee in the morning is the reason why you are broke. But the reality is a $4 cup of coffee is not the reason why you're broke. And buying avocado toast is not the reason why you're never going to be able to build wealth. And buying extra guac is not the reason why you don't have money to pay your rent. You got to dig a little bit deeper and really understand what's going on here. If you don't have any money and you have thousands of dollars worth of credit card debt, and you have tens of thousands of dollars worth of student loan debt, and you don't know how you're going to pay your rent this month, and you're still going to Starbucks every single morning to buy a $4 cup of coffee, do you see something wrong here? Yeah, you forgot the croissant. This goes into a much deeper mindset understanding of money, because you can spend money at Starbucks and still become wealthy. Let's start by separating experiences from consumption. Because if you're going to Starbucks or if you're going out with your friends to eat, then yeah, it's okay to spend a little bit of extra money because you're going there to hang out. You're going there for the experience. So if you want to buy a $5 cup of coffee, you can do that because you're going there for the experience to hang out with your friends. But if you're just going to Starbucks every single morning to get your morning cup of coffee and you don't have the money to do that, well, you could save a whole lot of money just by making your coffee at home. Now, if you got the money to do that, then sure, go ahead. But if you don't have the money to do that, now you got to really start thinking, how can you save some money by not blowing your money on these things? If you've been subscribed to our channel, you know that I love guacamole. And yeah, I could easily go out and afford a $4 side of extra guac, but I don't do that because I know that if I pay the $4 for extra guac, I'm gonna get one side of extra guac. But if I just go to Kroger, I can buy myself an avocado for less than $1, and this avocado can give me 4 sides of extra guac. So $1 here for 4 sides of guac, or $4 here for 1 side of guac. It's the mindset thing here. First, you got to separate the experiences from just consumption, and now with their consumption, you got to figure out what you want and what you need, and if there's other ways to go about doing it, that way you can keep more money for yourself so you can use more of your money to make yourself wealthy instead of just making everybody else around you rich. Now, before I get into the next clip, I do want to let you know that if you are interested in learning more about how you can start generating passive income, our team has put together an amazing guide that walks you through different passive income strategies. Some of these strategies will use some of your money, and some of these strategies are things that you can do without any money. So if you're looking for ways that you can start generating passive income right now, you can read this guide for free when you sign up for our daily newsletter. So if you want to read this guide, I'll put the link to how you can download this free guide on passive income in the description below. It's no surprise that the majority of people are not very good with their money. I mean, right now, something like 6 out of 10 Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, which means if you did not get your next paycheck, you wouldn't have money to keep your lights on. Now, I know there's a lot of different issues that are causing these financial problems. Some people may not be making enough money. You have a higher cost of living. You have a higher standard of living. But we also have the factors that we create ourselves, which is causing a lot of people to be broke. The thing that separates a wealthy person from a broke broke person is not just what job you have or how much money you make or what degree you have or who your mom or your daddy are. It's what you do with the money that you earn. That's why in this video, I'm going to be going over the 5 secrets that you need to understand to never be broke again. But before we get into that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below. The first secret to never being broke again is you gotta stop playing the flex game. Back in the day, this used to be called keeping up with the Joneses, but now with the whole social media age, people call it flexing on social media. The whole idea behind the social media flex is you are buying things out of your pay range, that way you can look cool and you can look rich to all of your other friends who are also broke. Some of the most fun but also the most expensive places to put your money right now are in homes, cars, vacations, and watches. These things are very nice. They can be a lot of fun. They can give you a lot of status and a lot of street cred. But they're also very expensive because these things are not putting money in your pocket unless you're buying them as an investment, but I'll save that topic for a later video. Here's what happens to a lot of people. You graduate college with a whole bunch of student loans, and now you got your first big boy or big girl job, and now you entered the workforce, and the first thing you need to get to and from work is a nice car. And then you need a place to live, and now as you start working, you want to go out and travel with your friends because you want to go on vacations, and as soon as you get your first big promotion, you want to celebrate with a nice watch. Now, when you go out and buy these things, you kind of compare yourself to your friends, right? You want to size yourself up. What kind of house did my friends get? Did they buy a 1,000 square foot condo? Or did they buy a 2,500 square foot home? Did they buy a nice Toyota Camry? Or did my friends buy a nice 4 Series Beamer? Did my friends want to go on a nice day trip somewhere? Or did we want to take a week vacation to Europe? And what type of watch are we buying? Are we talking about a nice $100 Fossil, or are we talking about a $15,000 Rollie? One of the easiest ways to have more money is just to not spend your money. So one deal that I kind of made with myself was I was not going to spend any money or as little money as possible on all of these things until I could settle myself financially. So when it comes to homes, the first home that I bought was not a home for myself. It was a rental property. So I lived small. During my entire time in law school, I slept on the living room floor of an apartment. I was making pretty decent money. I was making more than 6 figures a year, but I was paying less than $400 a month in rent because I slept on the living room floor. I had a mattress in the hallway, and anytime it was time for me to sleep, I would drag my mattress out into the hallway, into the living room, put it on the ground, and then I would put my sheets on it, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, fold my sheets, and then put the mattress back. Why? Because I don't want to blow any money here. I wanted to keep that money in my pocket. When it came to cars, I drove my used, beat up Toyota Solara into the ground because I didn't want to blow any money here. I know a car is not putting any money in my pocket. I wanted to put all this money that I wasn't putting towards my car payment into my investments because my investments are things that are going to make me wealthy. My cars are things that just make me look rich, but they don't actually make me rich. So you got to understand the discrepancy here. I like nice cars. I love luxury cars. I love sports cars, but I didn't want to put any money here until I knew that I was settled financially. And so I knew that I don't want to put money here until I was ready to. Same with vacations. I had this running joke for probably 5 to 7 years where I would tell all my friends, I don't go on vacation unless I get paid to go on vacation. The reason I used to say that is back when I was in college, I used to work in the wedding business, and in the wedding business I played an instrument called the Tol. It's a Punjabi instrument, and so I played this drum and I would work with a lot of DJs, and sometimes we would get paid to go to different states and sometimes even different countries, and so I didn't go on vacation unless I was getting paid to go on vacation. And so I would try to cut this out because I didn't want to have this cost right now because this was more money that I could put towards my investments. When it came to watches, this one's kind of funny. I also really like nice watches. But the interesting thing about watches was back when I was in high school, it was my senior year in high school, I was finally starting to make some money, a little bit of money. I finally had a few $1,000s in my own bank account and I was like, ooh, I got a lot of money. Let me go celebrate. So when I had a few $1,000s in my account, I went out and I bought myself a brand new $1,000 watch. I don't even know what brand it was, but it was this really flashy looking watch. I gotta show it on YouTube one day. I still have it. And it has these crystals everywhere and it just looks so blingy, so flashy. And I spent $1,000 on this watch. This is before I created my rule of 5, which says if you can't buy 5 of them, you can't afford one of them. But I spent all this money on this watch. And after I did that, I started to ask myself, what is this watch doing for me? I mean, yeah, it's a kind of a luxury piece. It's a time piece more than it tells time, but it really didn't do much for me. It didn't really create much value for me. And this is where I had to start thinking a little bit differently. These things are not putting money in my pocket. So if you want to buy these nice things, that's fine. You want to buy a nice home? Fine. You want to buy a luxury car? Fine. You want to buy a nice vacation? Fine. You want to buy a Rolex? Fine. Just make sure you can afford it first. Understand that these are things that are not putting money in your pocket. If you're going to buy these things, understand that they are liabilities. Make sure you can afford them first. The way you can afford them is settle yourself financially. Make sure you are financially secure, build your wealth, and then buy whatever you want. Once you're wealthy, then spend as much money you want here because now you can afford to. The reason why this is so hard for so many people is because when other people know that you're making money and then they see you driving around in a beat up car, or they see you not traveling as much as they think you should be traveling, or they see that you don't have the nice watch, or they see you kind of living small for some time, they're going to start wondering, what is wrong with you because you're not spending money like everybody else? But this is where you got to really have the inner confidence and remember, hey, I don't got the majority mindset. That's why I follow the minority mindset. The second secret to never being broke again is you do not want to fall into the penny trap. We've all heard the saying, a penny saved is a penny earned, right? But the issue with that saying is we're just talking about pennies because at the end of the day, a penny saved is just a penny. Here's a newsflash. You are not going to become rich by pinching pennies. Now I know this might seem like I'm contradicting what I said just a minute ago because a minute ago I was talking about how one of the easiest and best ways to have more money in your pocket is just by not spending any money. And now I'm talking about the kind of issues with pinching pennies. Well, there's a difference between the two. I don't want you to spend money on things that you don't need. If you can keep more money in your pocket, do it. But I also don't want you to be a penny pincher because penny pinchers tend to just not spend any money because they just want to keep this money in their pocket without understanding the value of what they're buying. There's a lot more that goes into becoming wealthy than just not spending your money at Starbucks. See, the reason why pinching pennies is so popular is because a lot of people have a scarcity and limited mindset where they're always trying to see how they can squeeze the most pennies out of a limited sized pie. So let me give you an example. Let's assume that you make $40,000 a year and you want to save and invest, let's just say 10% for the sake of this example. So in this case, 10% is $4,000 a year. And now a penny pincher, the majority of people are gonna see, how can I squeeze the most out of this? How can I take this from 10% to maybe 20%? How can I save instead of $4,000, $8,000? Now, if you do that, you're gonna double the amount of money that you're saving and investing. The downfall with that is you're gonna have less money here that you can use to go and have fun with, to buy nice things with, but you're gonna have a little bit more money to save and invest. Now, it's always good to save and invest more money, but the thing is, you're also having a limited mindset because you're not trying to grow the pie at all. This is where I want you to not just be a penny pincher, but to think a little bit bigger. I want you to have a growth mindset because the first thing I want you to do is understand, yes, you have to know how to live below your means. This is what we just talked about in number one. You have to know what it means to afford something. You gotta be putting money aside towards your savings and your investments. That is something that you have to do. If you do not know how to do that, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you are always gonna be broke. But then the next thing that I want you to do with this growth mindset is I want you to understand, okay, how do I take this pie and make it bigger? Because now, if instead of making $40,000 a year, you made $400,000 a year, and I know a lot of you might be thinking, how in the world do I go from $40,000 a year to $400,000 a year? Well, it is possible if you can start developing the growth mindset, because if you don't have the mindset where you believe that you can do it, you're never gonna be able to do it. But if you believe you can do it, then you're gonna put steps in place to understand how to do it. So now, if you go from $40,000 to $400,000 a year, and now you're saving and investing 10%, well now, you're saving the same amount as before, but instead of $4,000, you're saving and investing $40,000 because you're still only saving and investing 10%. If we did 20%, it's $80,000, but now you can understand the difference. With the growth mindset, you have the ability to save and invest a whole lot more because now you're thinking bigger. You don't have this kind of limiting beliefs telling you that you cannot earn more or grow the size of the pie. You're trying to grow the size of the pie with the understanding that you need to live below your means, and when you do that, you were able to live much bigger and have more money towards your savings and have more money towards your investments. Now here's the secret sauce. The way you get from here to here is not just by avoiding Starbucks and avoid paying for extra guac, it's by being smart. Sure, you need to live below your means, that we have some extra cash, but you also need to work to grow your income. That might mean getting a second job, that might mean starting a side hustle, that might mean starting a side business, that might mean asking for a raise, asking for a promotion, doing things that way you can grow your income, and now maybe even supplementing your income. That way you can create more than one income stream and using your money as a tool to grow your income. This is what growing the pie is all about, because what you need to understand is now, how can I use my money here to make my pie bigger? Because if you're spending all of your money on just clothes, cars, shoes, vacations, then your money is just going out. It's not making you richer, it might make you look richer, but it's not actually making you richer. But if now you're using your money to buy classes, you're using your money to buy investments, you're using your money to start businesses, you're using your money to invest in businesses. Now you're using your money as a tool to grow your pie and make your pie bigger. That way you have more money coming into your pocket. The third secret to never being broke again is to prepare for the worst. I'm a real estate investor. And so one of the things about real estate that I like to talk about on our channel is that the thing about investing in real estate is that things break. And so in order to protect yourself from this, you want to make sure you always have some cash in reserves to protect you from that. And you also want to make sure you have insurance against your rental properties, because if something big goes wrong, you want to make sure you have insurance to protect you from that. You want to do the same thing for your own personal finances, that way you're protected from worst case scenario type of situations. On the front side, that means you got to make sure you have a savings cushion. The minimum you got to have in your savings account is $2,000, and the max you want to have in your savings account is something like 12 months worth of expenses in your savings account in cash, liquid, that you can access whenever you want. That way, in case something goes wrong, in case your kid's arm breaks, in case your AC goes out, you have cash that you can dip into. That way you don't got to go into debt to fund these costs. The thing that you have to understand about your savings, that many of us were taught wrong for our entire lives, is that your savings are not there to make you wealthy. We are in a new day and age where right now our savings are not growing. So when we talk about your savings, you have to understand that your cash in your bank account is not there to make you wealthy. That cash is there just to protect you from an emergency. So you want to make sure you have some cash aside, not to make you wealthy, but to protect you from an emergency. The second way that you want to protect yourself from a worst case scenario situation is by having life insurance, because life insurance is a way for you to protect your family from a worst case scenario tragedy. The way life insurance works is you can go out and buy a $1 million life insurance policy, and if you were to die during this life insurance term, then the life insurance company would come and they would give your family a $1 million check. The reason why this is so important is because if you are a breadwinner for your family and you were to tragically die unexpectedly, and now your family would lose your income stream, already it'd be hard enough because I lost you, but if they lose your income stream, now if they do not have other investments or other assets to fall back on, then they're going to have a really tough time being able to maintain their lifestyle. So the whole idea behind life insurance is it is a way for you to protect your family from a worst case scenario type of situation, because if something were to happen to you, your life insurance would kick in, they would give your family a big check, and now at least it'd be okay financially. Now, as a financially educated person, your goal should not be to rely on life insurance to take care of your family. Your goal should be to build your wealth, build investments, build assets. That way your family has assets and investments to fall back on. But until you get to that point, life insurance is kind of like a bridge. That way, if something were to happen to you, your family would at least have your life insurance policy to fall back on. That way they would have cash in order to survive. If you are interested in learning more about life insurance, what the different options are, and see how much life insurance will cost you, you can get a free quote thanks to our sponsor Policygenius using our link in the description below. All you have to do is go onto their website and enter in a few pieces of information, which just takes a few minutes, and the Policygenius will present you with different quotes for the same policy from different insurers. That way you can make sure you're getting the lowest price possible. The reason why I like Policygenius is because they don't charge you any additional fees, and they stand by what they do. If you can go out and find a cheaper life insurance quote anywhere else, they will pay you $100 for wasting your time. Remember, the whole idea behind life insurance is you want to use this as a bridge. That way this is a protection that you have for your family as you're building your wealth. And the good news is life insurance doesn't have to it costs you an arm and a leg. Like if you are a healthy 30-year-old guy, you can go out and buy $1 million life insurance policy for less than $30 a month. And if you do have specific questions about your own life insurance needs, they have unbiased questions that you can talk to that are not incentivized to upsell you anything. So if you want to learn more and get a free life insurance quote, I got the link to how you can do that with our sponsor Policygenius in the description below. The fourth secret to never being broke again is to stop complaining. You know, sometimes the best way to understand something is just to see it happen. And this was something that I really saw firsthand because my parents are immigrants from a state in India called Punjab. And my dad came to this country not knowing the language. He didn't know anybody. He didn't know the culture. He didn't know the people. He didn't know how to get from one place to the other. But he came here and he hustled with less than $100 and made it work. My parents are some of the hardest working people that I know. And when I go and ask my dad, how in the world were you able to come to a new country where you don't know the people, the culture, the language with less than $100 and then go out and raise a family? Like, how was that possible? My dad's answer is simple. You just gotta work your butt off. And he usually substitutes the word but for a different word, but I'll let you guess what that word is yourself. If my dad had 2 days off in a row, like a Saturday and a Sunday, that was considered a long vacation. And my dad used to have this thing where he would tell me that there's no such thing as sick days, because if you take a sick day, you're not working. If you're not working, you're not getting paid. If you're not getting paid, you don't have money to eat, so you gotta work. And so you gotta start kind of building this mentality where you gotta do whatever it takes. If you're comfortable, if you got this kind of cushion behind you, then you don't got that fire on you because you don't have that kind of motivation, that fire to succeed. But if you have no other option except working your butt off to succeed, you're gonna find a way to succeed. Right now, a lot of people in America are comfortable. A lot of people in America are complacent. A lot of people in America have the ability to complain because they're comfortable. The reason why you have people literally risking their lives to come to this country is because people understand that America is the land of opportunity. And so now, if you are already in a country, a first world country, if you can already understand what I'm saying, if you have the resources to watch what I'm saying, you're blessed. Now you gotta stop complaining and do something about it. Look, I'm just gonna keep it very honest with you. If you are not where you wanna be financially, if you are not happy with the way your finances look right now, and at the same time, you're spending every evening playing Fortnite with your friends, and you're spending your weekends watching Netflix with your other friends, well, you're doing something wrong here. The first step to any sort of success is having the right mindset. Because if your mind is your limiting factor, you're not gonna be able to do anything because all you're gonna see is negativity and the lack of opportunity. But if you open your mind and you start to see this growth mindset and you start to see this positivity, now all of a sudden, the same world is full of opportunity and possibility. The whole world is yours for the taking, and you just gotta decide what is it worth to you. If something is important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you're not gonna do it. It was very important for me to become financially successful. That way I could take care of my family, my parents, and give back to my community. These things were important to me, and that's why I do everything that I do, because I know what's important to me. When I was in law school, not only did I go to law school and study and take all of my exams, but at the same time, I was also working on a separate business. And at the same time, I was also making YouTube videos. I was starting Minority Mindset. And because I never knew how to make videos, at night, I went to night school for acting. I did all of these things because this was what was important to me, and I was willing to make sacrifices to do that. And so this is where, again, you gotta stop complaining and just understand that your success, your financial success, is in your hands. It's not controlled by the government. It's not controlled by somebody else. It's controlled by you. And if you believe it's controlled by somebody else, you're always going to be kind of in that state where you're stuck. And this is where you got to break away and understand that it is you that's in control. And if you really want to be the one that's in control, you got to understand what does it take for you to take control and make your life the way you want it to be financially. And the fifth secret to never being broke again is now you got to put your money to work. Listen, anytime you get paid from now on, you need to create a system for your money where some of your money is being saved until you hit your savings goal. Some of your money is going to be invested every time you get paid, and the rest of your money is spent. The thing that differentiates the majority of people from wealthy people is the majority of people make money, they spend it, and then they wonder where all their money went. The minority of people who are wealthy, what they do is they make money, they save their money, they invest their money, and then they spend whatever is left. It's a difference in thinking. It's a difference in way of how you use your money, and this is what financial education is all about. Because when you put your money to work and you invest your money, now your money is going out and it's working hard to earn you more money, Because at the end of the day, there's a limit to how many hours each one of us can work. I don't care how hard of a worker you are. At the end of the day, each one of us only got 24 hours. We all have to sleep. We all got to go to the shower. We all got to drive. All these things are taking time away from us physically working. None of us can work around the clock every single day, and that's exhausting at the same time. But what you can do is you can take your money, put it to work. Now, when your money is going to work, your money can work hard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it is scalable because you can just keep adding more fuel to the fire. You just keep adding more money into the fire, and when you throw more money into the fire, now you have more money working for you, earning you more money. A couple of the most common ways for you to invest your money are through stocks, where you're investing in actual companies, and through real estate, where now you're buying properties that are generating cash flow, because now you can go out and buy a home, not for you to live in yourself, but for you to rent out to somebody else, and now this other person that's living in your home, they're paying you money to live there, and this money that you're getting in rent should cover your mortgage, your taxes, insurance, your fees, and put some money in your pocket every single month. Now what you're doing is you're not using your money just to save, because again, your savings are not making you wealthy. They're just there to protect you from an emergency, and you're not using your money to go out and buy a whole bunch of nice things, nice cars, nice shoes, nice clothes. You're using your money as a tool to buy things that are going to pay you more money. The reason why this is hard for a lot of people is because when you go out and you buy stocks, or you go out and you buy an investment property, you can't show it off the way you can a Gucci belt. And so now when you have these investment properties, you're building real wealth. You're building real richness. But a Gucci belt makes you look rich. And so the reason why this is hard is because, well, you can't show off your investments the way you can a Gucci belt. And so if you really want to be wealthy, you got to stop taking all of your cash and buying nice things that you can show off, and you got to start buying the nice things that are going to pay you with cash flow and income. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into investing in this video, but we do have a free guide on money management and investing that you can read for free when you subscribe for our daily newsletter. If you do want to read this guide, you'll learn more about investing in stocks and real estate and all kinds of investing and building wealth. If you want to learn more about this guide and get it for free, I got the link to how you can download our free guide in the description below. The 10% savings rule says that you should take a look at your gross income. Now multiply that by 10%, and that is how much money you should be saving every single year to fund your retirement. This is probably one of the most commonly known of financial planning tools or rules out there, because everybody says if you want to become wealthy or if you want to live below your means, all you got to do is save 10% of your income. I grew up in an Indian household, so I never was told to save 10% of your income. Growing up, I was always told that I needed to save 50% of my income. But the first time I heard about the 10% rule was when I was actually watching Friends, and there was an episode where Monica lost her job, and her dad says, "Oh, don't worry, my harmonica knows that she needs to save 10% of her income." Yeah, I'm weird, I know. Turns out it wasn't just people on Friends following the 10% rule. We have a lot of regular people following the 10% rule too, which might explain why so many Americans are struggling to retire right now. Then as I was researching the 10% rule for this video, I came across another rule. It was the 70-20-10 rule, which is almost as equally bad as the 10% rule, because the 70-20-10 rule says that 70% of your income is what you should spend, 20% of your income is what you need to be saving in a savings account, and 10% of your income should be going to pay down your debts. That's why in this video, I'm going to be going over why you should not follow the 10% rule, and I'll go over some things that you should do instead. But before we do that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below. And a quick word from our sponsor, M1 Finance. If you are interested in passively investing your money in the stock market and you want to do this automatically without paying any fees, M1 Finance will let you do that. So if you want to learn more and see how you can passively start investing, I got the link to how you can do that with M1 Finance in the description below. Let me start by showing you why the 10% rule does not work with some numbers. So let's go back in time to 1970, because back in 1970, the median wage at the time was right around $9,800. Let me round that number up though for you. So let's assume that the median wage was $10,000 and you were earning $10,000 back in 1970. Now this is more than what the median person was earning, but let's just go with that for this example. If you made $10,000 a year for the next, until now, 50 plus years, so what, 50 plus years, and you saved 10% of your income. So every time you got paid, you took 10%, which in this case is $1,000 a year, and you saved this in a savings account. Right now, in your savings account, you would have $51,000 sitting there to help you retire. Newsflash, you will not be able to retire with $51,000. Now, I already know what you're thinking. But Jaspreet, if I was making $10,000 back in 1970, there's no way I'd be making $10,000 today. I'd be making way more money because of, inflation. Wages go up. So this time, let me run the numbers again. This time, assuming that every single year, your boss will automatically give you a 5% annual raise. Now, this is a pretty generous raise because I can tell you that most people, the vast majority of people, did not see a 5% annual raise between 1970 to now. It was something like half of that. So I'm going to be very generous with this example. So this means year number one, 1970, you made $10,000. The year after that, you made $10,500. Oh, one too many zeros. You made $10,500 and on and on and on until now. So every year for more than 50 years, you got this 5% annual raise, which kind of compounded. And that means right now, you're making right around $120,000. Pretty big jump from $10,000 a year. And same concept where every year you save 10%, which means year one, you saved $1,000. And right now you are saving $12,000 a year. Now you're saving a lot of money every single year now, but you're nearing that retirement age and you can't keep working. And now you want to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Now, if you followed this 10% rule and you save 10% of your income every single year, you would have a bank account worth, drumroll please, $240,000. If you just had an average wage increase like most people got, then you'd only have half of this number. Now, this might look like a lot of money today, but the reality is if you want to retire right now, according to CNBC, you need something like $1.7 million, or at least a net worth, something around there. So you have $250,000, which is quite a bit away from what people need to retire comfortably. If you hit retirement, and now you're no longer working, you don't have any money coming in, maybe you got some Social Security, but let's ignore Social Security right now because we all know that Social Security is drying up and has its own issues. But if you stop working and all you have is $250,000 in your bank account, and this is what you're relying on to retire comfortably, you're not going to be able to live very long in retirement very comfortably. Because let's assume that you want to live off of $50,000 a year, which is less than half what you were making when you hit retirement. Then you only got enough money in your bank account to last you 5 years. Because now, every single year, you're just going to be drawing cash out of your bank account. And your bank account is not growing because you don't have more money coming in. And so if you keep pulling out $50,000, your bank account is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller year after year after year. So you're going to need a way to either grow your bank account bigger, that way you have enough money to draw for the rest of your life, or you need a way to continue growing your bank account. That way you don't gotta worry about running out of money when you're retired. Now, thankfully, some people have been transforming this 10% savings rule into, instead of just saving all this 10%, to investing a portion of that. But still, that's really not enough, because if you follow this 10% rule, that means you're spending 90% of your income, and this 10% is going to be saved for emergencies and it's going to be invested, which is not going to be enough to get you to a very comfortable retirement, because I don't want you just getting by, right? This is the minority mindset. I want you thinking differently than the majority of people. I want you to be able to thrive and live your life in a way that the majority of people cannot. Look, if you're just hoping to barely get by financially, and you're hoping that the government and Social Security is going to take care of you so you can live your life, then you're on the wrong YouTube channel. You have the same issue with the 70-20-10 rule. The 70-20-10 rule, like I talked about before, is 70% of your income is going to be spent, 20% is going to be saved in your bank account for your retirement or your wealth or whatever you want to call it, and 10% is going to pay down your debt. So this assumes that you're going to have car payments and a mortgage and maybe credit card debt or something else. And so it's already allocated how much money should be going to debt, and it's already allocating how much money you should be saving. But none of these things teach you to invest your money. And here's the reality. The reality is, if you want to become wealthy, investing your money is the secret that will take you there. Saving your money is less important now than it has ever been before. Saving is still important. You still want to have a few months worth of expenses saved in an emergency account. That way you never have to worry about going into debt when an emergency happens. But now more than ever, investing is more important than saving. One of the biggest reasons for that is that between 1970 and today, our dollars have been diluted. Our dollars have lost a ton of value because between 1970 and now, more money has been printed, our national debt has skyrocketed, and so there's so many more dollars floating around out there, so the value of each dollar that we have, the value of each dollar that you earn, and the value of each dollar that you save has dropped like a rock. So now in this economic environment where more money just keeps being printed and our dollars just keep being diluted, every time you work so hard to save money, your savings are just losing value. This dilution of our dollars is not going away. It's just been getting worse, and it's one of the reasons why the majority of people keep getting poorer, because they don't realize how their dollars are losing value day after day after day. That's why they call inflation a hidden tax, because the majority of people don't see it happen, and it's what's keeping the majority of people broke, and it's one of the reasons why the middle class is getting wiped out. I already made a video where I explained what's going on with the dollars. I called it fake money. So if you want to watch that video, I'll link that video for you in the description below. So what's happening is you're working hard to save money, but as you're saving money, the price of everything else around you keeps going up. That's why your housing costs keep going up. That's why your healthcare costs keep going up. That's why clothing costs keep going up. That's why vacations keep getting more expensive. And that's why extra guac prices keep going up. So what I want you to do, instead of following this 10% rule, is to be a more aggressive investor, and I'm going to show you what you can do. So let me wipe this off. One of the simplest things that you can do is follow a plan like our 75-15-10 plan. Now you don't have to follow this ratio exactly. This is just one of the things that I recommend, but the way it works is like this. So for every dollar that you earn, your dollar is going to now flow through this kind of plan, almost like a funnel, where now your dollar comes in and 75 cents of every dollar that you earn is the maximum that you can spend. 15 cents out of every dollar that you earn from now on is the minimum you will be investing, and 10 cents out of every dollar that you earn is the minimum that you will be saving. So now what you're doing is this is money that you're using to protect you against any emergencies. Once you build your savings cushion, once you have your 3 months to 12 months worth of expenses saved, you don't want to save any more money because saving is losing, like we just talked about. So once you got your savings, you're going to take this money and put it here. This 15 to 25, depending on once you get your savings or not, is the money that you're using to build your wealth. This is the money that you're going to be investing. I'm going to talk about the different ways that you can invest in just a second, but this is the money that you're going to be using to become wealthy, and this is the maximum that you can use to spend. This is what you're going to be using to buy your house or your rent. This is what you're going to be using for your car, your groceries, your food, your vacations, and everything else. Anytime I talk about this, the first issue that somebody has is, how in the world am I supposed to live off of just 75% of what I make when I'm already struggling making my payments? And the issue a lot of times isn't just how much money you're making, it's what you do with the money you make. This is the big issue we have right now, because a lot of us assume that our problems, our financial problems, are deep-rooted to our income. But a lot of times what happens is, as you make more money, your expenses, boop, suddenly go up too. Because it's not just an earning problem, it's also a spending problem. They go hand in hand. Yeah, if you made more money, it could help, but it could also help if you spent less money. And so if you're complaining about money and you have the newest AirPods, the newest iPhone, you're eating extra guac, you wear Lululemon leggings. So if you have these nice things, or you're spending $500 a month on your car, if you have these nice things and you're wondering why you're paycheck to paycheck, well, now you got to look at your spending. The next thing that you can do to really amplify this, to make this work, is to create an automatic system where this money automatically leaves your checking account, so you don't even see it in your account. Because when you have money in your account, you're going to be more likely to spend it. But if that money's not in your account because it was automatically invested, now you can't spend it because that money's not there. So one of the things that you can do is use a platform, kind of like our sponsor M1 Finance. You can use a platform that's going to automatically take this money out of your account anytime you get paid. So you can set the days when your paychecks come in, and then you can automatically have this money get withdrawn from your checkings account or savings account and have it move over to your automatic investment account. So anytime you get paid, 15% of your income automatically leaves, goes to another account, and is automatically invested for you. So this is what passive investing is. Passive investing is for people that don't really want to keep up with stocks. They don't want to keep up with all the earnings calls. They don't want to stay up to date with how much revenue and profit that each company is making. Now you can invest in certain companies or ETFs. ETFs are funds that give you exposure to a whole basket of stocks. So you can pick a few investments that you want, and anytime you get paid, 15% of your money automatically gets invested into these funds. Now what you're doing is you are passively building your own retirement or wealth building account, because now anytime you get paid, this money automatically gets is withdrawn from your account, it automatically gets deposited into your investment account, and it automatically gets invested. So now your money is growing. When your money grows, this money gets compounded, and this money helps your money grow. So now you have your money making you money, and your money's money making you money. And over time, this money will be growing and compounding on the side. You don't got to worry about it. You don't got to keep checking up on it every single day. But now this money is on the side growing to build you wealth. And anytime you get paid, this money will slowly help compound this money even faster. This is honestly one of the easiest ways to build your own wealth. Is first, now you're going to be living below your means because you're only living off of 75% of what you make. You're going to build your savings cushion. Once you do that, the savings is going to help grow your investments. Now your investments are just on the side, going to just go into your investments. You're not trying to find the next hot stock. You're not trying to find the next thing that's going to make it big. You're just going to passively keep investing your money. Now I know this type of passive investing isn't as hot or as attractive as trying to find the next Amazon or trying to find the next Tesla or trying to find the next Bitcoin before it pops. But it works. And this is where you have to make a decision and ask yourself, would you rather be cool or would you rather be rich? If you want to be rich, this is the system that you can follow. If you want to be cool, then sure, keep trying to find the next hot stock. Maybe you'll find it, maybe you won't. But if you're not familiar with actual stock market trading and actual stock market investing, and you're just throwing your money around wherever people are talking about, then over time, you're gonna get burned. But if you just wanna build wealth over time, this is the way to do it. Saving your money doesn't have the same value that it did 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 50 years ago. And so now you gotta be smart. You gotta be financially educated. And it sucks that most of us are not taught this, but this is the way that our economic system is moving. Our dollars are being diluted. And so now you have to be the smart person to understand what's going on. You gotta understand what's going on in our economy and with our money. That way now you can be smart with your money. That way you can look out for your finances and take care of your family, yourself, and your community. If you really want to understand why the middle class is getting wiped out and why poor people and the people who are not financially educated are going to continue to become poorer, we got to take a step back and really understand what causes poorness and poverty to begin with. Now, I know that's a super deep question, and we have systemic issues, and we have political issues, and we have geographic issues. But if we just focus in on the financial side of things, I want to read you this tweet by a professor from the OSU Entrepreneurship School who says, "What causes poverty? Nothing. It is the original state, the default and starting point. The real question is, what causes prosperity?" That's an interesting take on things, and it's essentially saying that we're all born flat, zero, with nothing. We're all born poor. But how come some people become wealthy while other people don't? Nobody is born a millionaire, as in creating millions of dollars of value. Sure, maybe you have rich parents who give you a trust fund, and as soon as you're born, you're worth millions of dollars because your parents are rich. But nobody comes out of the womb producing millions of dollars worth of value. So if you jump a little bit deeper into that question of what creates wealth, there are 5 things that create wealth. I'm gonna go over these 5 things, but before I do that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash the thumbs up button below. If we stick with the assumption that everybody is born flat with nothing, how do you become wealthy? Well, the first way someone can become wealthy is if you win the genetic lottery, meaning you have rich parents, and so yeah, you're born with nothing, but then mom and dad can transfer $1 million into your account, and boom, you're a millionaire even though you haven't created any value. So, this is a portion of people. It's not everybody, but some people do become wealthy just because they were born into a rich family. There's no control over which family you're born into. You can't decide who your parents are. We don't get to decide what our parents did or what our grandparents did. But this is just the reality. Some people win the genetic lottery, and because of that, they're wealthy. The second thing is just luck. Some people win the lottery. Some people go to the gas station, they pay $2 for a Powerball ticket, and they win $24 million. Some people are lucky in that sense, and they become wealthy because of it. And there's a lot of different kind of layers of luck, because even beyond just winning the lottery, if you live in a first world country and you can speak and understand what I'm saying, and you have access to the internet, you have access to running water, you have access to shelter, you don't got to worry about bombs flying over your head, that's also another form of luck. And so there's a whole bunch of different layers of luck, but people can become wealthy just because of luck if you go out and you go to the casino, or if you go out and win the lottery, and these things could put millions of dollars in your lap. Now again, is that likely? No, but it is possible, and some people become wealthy because of luck. Third is hard work. This one works most effectively when you couple it with number 5, financial education, but some people are going to work 2 or 3 jobs and they're gonna bust their butt and they're not going to spend any money, and they're going to work really hard to make as much money as possible. That way they can become wealthy, and they're going to take all of the extra money that they have and invest it. That's why some people can work minimum wage jobs and retire very wealthy, while other people retire broke, because some people are willing to put in a crazy sacrifice for decades in their lives while they are living off of very little, and they're investing every penny that they can because they want to become wealthy, and they're busting their butt, not getting any sleep, working very hard to become wealthy. Now, again, if you have the right financial education, it becomes much easier, but some people do become wealthy just because of the efforts that they put in. It is very hard to become wealthy just because of your labor and your efforts, but some people do that. The fourth way, and probably the most common way that people become wealthy, is again a combination of 4 and 5, but it goes into education. I'm speaking more of kind of like your traditional education, where now you go and become a doctor, you go and become an attorney, an accountant, you earn this really high salary, and if you have the right financial education, then now you're going to use this high salary as a tool where now you have a lot of money that you can invest and save. That way you can become wealthy, and that's why a lot of people say that education is the route out of poverty. But if you don't have education with financial education, then education can just put you into a deep spiral of debt, because now you go out and become a doctor and you have $200,000 worth of student loans. And as soon as you start making this doctor salary, if you start enjoying this doctor lifestyle with the nice cars and the nice vacations and the nice clothing, then you could be broke for the rest of your life. So again, this is why number 5 is really important with number 4, just like it's important with number 3. And if you want to keep your money here and here, you got to have financial education as well. But you can become wealthy if you have good education, because that can help you make a better salary. And if you have a better salary and you know how to do with your money, then you can become wealthy. You don't need a doctor's salary to become wealthy. If you're working hard at your job and you have financial education, you can become wealthy. You just got to understand number 5, which is the 5th way that you can become wealthy, which is really a part of 3 and 4, but it's using your money as a tool instead of just spending all of the money you get. Because the whole idea of financial education is understanding how to use your money instead of just making money and then wondering where all your money went. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you're born a millionaire. It doesn't matter if you win $1 million. It doesn't matter if you make a lot of money because you work a lot of jobs. And it doesn't matter if you're a doctor. If you don't have the right financial education, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to keep your wealth because you don't know what to do with the money you make. So at the core, it doesn't really matter how much money you make. If you have financial education, you can become wealthy. If you don't have financial education, you never have a shot at becoming, or I guess keeping your wealth, because you can win the genetic lottery and you can win the lottery without producing a lot of value to make money, but you're not going to keep that money unless you got the financial education. Now, if we go back to the original assumption that everybody's born as 0 and starts as 0, that doesn't mean that everybody has to put in the same amount of effort or has the same effort required to get to wealth, because everyone's going to have a different path. People are going to have access to different resources. People are going to have access to different connections. People are going to have different parents. People are going to have access to different things, which makes the path to wealth a little bit easier. I guess this kind of goes into the luck part over here. Like for my grandparents, becoming wealthy was irrelevant, because for them, their goal was just to be able to survive, because they were refugees. When our home state of Punjab, which is in India, was severed during the Indian partition, they had to literally run for their lives. And so my grandfather had a sword, and that's what he used to protect himself during this migration. And he saw his own family members get killed right in front of him. So for him, there was no inclination or really stress or work to become wealthy. It was just being able to survive, because he lost everything. He lost his family, he lost his home, he lost his land, and so he had to start all over again. And so for them, it wasn't this path to wealth, it was this path to survival. When my parents immigrated to America, they didn't know the language, they didn't know the culture, they didn't know the people, and my dad said he had less than $100 when he came to America, but he had to make it work. And so now you're working off of hard work and education just so you can survive. So assuming that everyone starts at 0, these are the things that can build your wealth. You can be born with rich parents, you can be born lucky, maybe you're born in a first world country, you can speak English, you have access to technology, that's lucky. Even if you don't win the lottery, it's lucky if you live in a first world country and you have access to running water and you don't got to worry about bombs flying over your head, that's lucky. Now your path to wealth is a little bit easier than somebody who's living in a third world country that can't speak English, that doesn't have access to the internet, that's worried about a bomb flying over their head. So you got a little bit of element of luck there too. your hard work, your education, your financial education. These are the things that can help you become wealthy, and the things that kind of destroy wealth are now especially lack of financial education. This is one of the most prominent things that you see happen in first world countries, because now you have so much money and you have so much access to credit and everybody has all these nice things. So what do? Well, you use tomorrow's income to finance today's lifestyle with debt. And now you're living paycheck to paycheck because you're financing everything. You have a brand new car that you financed. You have new AirPods. You have Lululemon leggings. You have $20,000 worth of credit card debt. You have $60,000 worth of student loans, just because you think this is normal because everybody else keeps spending money and has all these nice things. So you think you should do it too, and you don't understand the real cost of this, and you don't understand how you can use your money the right way. Now, of course, even in first world countries, there are other things that can destroy your opportunity to become wealthy, like having a poor mindset. If you don't have a good mindset, you have just destroyed all chance that you had to become wealthy, unless you win here or here. But if you don't have a good mindset, I mean, that is the foundation to becoming wealthy. That's why we are the minority mindset, because it's about the mindset of thinking differently than the majority of people, which is why if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, you should do that. But the reason why this is so important to understand now than ever before is because we're in a society where the rich and the financially educated are becoming richer, while the middle class is getting wiped out and the poor is becoming poorer thanks to two things. The first is cheap debt. And when I say cheap debt, I mean first that it is very cheap for you to go out and borrow money. So if you want to go out and buy a home, or if you want to go out and put more money on your credit card, it is very cheap to do that. And the second part of cheap debt is that it is very easy for you to go out and qualify for more debt. This cheap and easy access to debt makes a lack of financial education so much more painful now, because we're seeing a whole new generation of people that are just racking up debt, using this debt, this cheap debt, to buy things that are not paying them, because it is now so easy to go into debt. Back in the day, the worst kind of debt was credit card debt, because with credit card debt, you would have to go to the store and you could swipe your card and you didn't realize how much money you were spending. So if you were bad with your money and you didn't know how to spend your money, having a credit card was kind of like adding fuel to the fire, because now anytime you shopped, now you were more likely to spend more money than you had. Now we're seeing this problem become a whole lot worse, because you can just shop online. And so instead of having to drive to the store to spend money off your credit card, you have one click, push to buy, and so you can rack up this credit card debt without even realizing it. And it is so much more easy to go into credit card debt. But even worse than that, we have a whole new kind of online programs to help people buy now and pay later, or as I like to call it, broke now, broke later, because you have all these programs like Affirm and Afterpay, which allow you to shop online at your favorite e-commerce stores. And when you go to the checkout page, they say, hey, instead of paying this $100 right now, do you want to pay it off in installments? And so we have this kind of whole new generation of people that are entering this whole new world of buy now, pay later, because we have never really experienced the real cost and effects of this yet. Like with credit cards, we know that credit cards is expensive. We know that credit cards can be dangerous if we don't know how to use them. But if you know how to use credit cards, they can be a great tool. Now with these buy now and pay later programs, it is very easy for people to get access to money that's not theirs, to buy things that they don't need, and to buy things that are not paying them. And beyond just that, because interest rates are so low, you have so many people borrowing money or pulling money out of their homes, because they're thinking, wow, interest rates are so cheap, so might as well pull some new equity out of my home, because home prices have been shooting up. And so people are just pulling cash out of their homes, that way they have more money to spend. Now, refinancing on your mortgage is a great idea, especially when interest rates fall, because now you can save a whole lot of money in your mortgage just by getting a new cheaper mortgage. But when you're pulling out equity in your home, this is kind of like imaginary money, because the real value of your home is not what an appraiser thinks your home is worth. It's what someone's actually willing to pay for your home. And so now you have a whole kind of industry of people that are pulling out cash out of their homes because interest rates are so low, and they're using this cash to go out and shop. Mortgage debt might not be as expensive as credit card debt, but now we have all these people that are going into debt because debt is so cheap, and they're using this money to shop, and at the same time it is easy to access this debt. So we have so many people borrowing money to buy things that are not paying them. Wealthy people and the financially educated don't do that. They're not going into debt to finance their vacation to Cancun. They're using debt, if at all, they're using debt to buy assets which make them money, because now you're using the bank's money, which is cheap, and you're using this bank's money to make you more money. The majority of people, when they're going into debt, they're using this money to buy things that make them look rich. Vacations, clothes, cars. These things make you look rich, but they keep you broke. Wealthy people and rich people, if they use debt, they're using it as a tool to buy assets which are cash flowing, which are making them money, while the majority of people are not. And so you have this whole kind of group of people, this majority of people that are going deeper and deeper into debt to buy things that are making them broker, while the financially educated are using this cheap debt to make them richer. And so this is the first thing why you're seeing this bigger divide between the rich and the poor, because there's such easy access to debt. And so rich people are using this easy access to debt to become richer, and the poor and the financially educated are using this easy access to debt to buy things that are making them poorer. The second reason why you're seeing a bigger divide between the rich and the poor is because of inflation. After the 2008 crash happened, you saw so much money printing happen in 2008 and 2009, and when this money printing happened, that devalues our dollar. And then when the 2020 pandemic and recession hit, you saw even more money printed in 2020 and 2021, which caused even more devaluation of the dollar. Every time you print more money, the value of the dollars that you're working hard to earn and the value of the dollars that you're working hard to save goes down, because our dollars kind of run like supply and demand. When you have more dollars in the world, the value of each dollar that you have doesn't have as much buying power. And so as more and more money is printed, the value of each dollar that you hold goes down. So the whole idea behind inflation is that as more money is printed, the value of your dollars go down, which makes the price of everything else, your rent, your groceries, your vacations, your hospital bills, go up. And it's kind of funny and sad at the same time, because the Federal Reserve Bank comes out and they say that inflation is not that bad, and so they're working to increase inflation, while at the same time we have a whole generation of people that can't even afford their housing payments. Sure, maybe on your projections and your inflation charts, inflation might not look so bad, but if you look at reality, not just in theory, but reality, the real life that people are living, people cannot afford their cost of living because housing prices keep going up and your groceries keep going up while wages don't keep up. And so we have a whole generation of people that are really struggling to survive financially because we have the cost of living going up, we have the standard of living going up with wages that are not going up, and we don't have any financial education because none of us go to school learning about how to manage our money. None of us go to school learning about how to invest or how to build our wealth. But if we did, then a lot of people probably would be using their money very differently, because if people understood about how money worked, if people understood about how inflation worked, if people understood about how debt worked, then chances are you wouldn't see so many people racking up credit card debt to have the newest shoes, to have the newest clothes, and you'd have more people putting money aside to invest. Because when you invest your money in assets like a rich people and financially educated people are doing, now your money is growing with or faster than inflation. That way you can become wealthier as inflation happens, because the Federal Reserve Bank has made it very clear that they are actively working to increase inflation. As they increase inflation, who pays the price? The poor and the middle class. Well, the middle class is getting wiped out, but the poor are the people that pay the price, because now your rent goes even higher, your groceries go even higher, your vacation costs go even higher, and your wages may or may not keep up. And so the poor are paying the price because it's kind of like a hidden tax. The cost of everything goes up, but you don't have enough dollars to pay for everything, while the financially educated are benefiting because now if you own the assets, the price of your assets and your investments are going up with or faster than inflation. And so this is where financial education becomes so important, because if you understand this, you can use your money as a tool to make you wealthier. If you don't understand this, well, now you are just a pawn in the game that's making everybody else rich. Cheap and easy access to debt with rising inflation is not a good combination for the majority of people, because we lack this financial education in our society. It is becoming so important because these things are going to continue to get worse, and every time you see the government come in and print more money, you see more inflation happen, and every time you see this easy access to debt, you're going to see more people go deeper into debt. And so we're creating this really bad kind of vicious financial cycle, where the only people that are going to be able to break out of this cycle are the people that really understand money. Because if you don't understand how money works, you're going to continue spinning your wheels, and you're going to continue wondering, why is it that you can't get off of this hamster wheel? You just keep spinning your wheels faster and faster and faster, and you're not getting anywhere financially. The only way out of this mess is really financial education, because now you can understand how to use your money the right way, you can understand how to invest your money, and you can understand how to grow your money. Now, before I get into the next clip, I do want to let you know that if you are interested in learning more about how you can start generating passive income, our team has put together an amazing guide that walks you through different passive income strategies. Some of these strategies will use some of your money, and some of these strategies are things that you can do without any money. So if you're looking for ways that you can start generating passive income right now, you can read this guide for free when you sign up for our daily newsletter. So if you want to read this guide, I'll put the link to how you can download this free guide on passive income in the description below. The banking industry is one of those industries that makes more money off of you and other people when you do not understand money. When you spend money that you don't have, buying things that you don't need, that do not pay you for owning them, well, now you're going to be going to the bank to borrow all their money, and then you're going to spend the rest of your life paying off all the things that make you look rich, but they keep you broke because all of your money is going straight to your bank. Now, as soon as you get paid, your bank is the first person to get paid, not you. But that's nothing new. Banks have been skinning people alive financially for generations, but banks also do have a purpose. Like, banks let you have a savings account and a checking account, and banks are the go-to place for you to borrow money to buy a home and maybe even a car if you believe in financing your car. But when it comes to building your wealth, there are certain secrets that your bank does not want you to know, because these are things that will make you money, but they don't make your bank any money. And that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. But before we get into that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below. You got to start by understanding how your bank makes money, and there are three general ways your bank makes money, at least at the consumer level. There are other ways your bank makes money, but let's focus on these three. Number one is your bank makes money when you give them money. Second, your bank makes money when you spend money that you do have. And number three, your bank makes money when you spend money that you do not have. Let's start with this. When you give the bank your money, when you give your bank $100 that you want to deposit in your checkings account, what happens? As soon as you give the bank this $100 bill, they're going to turn around, put this in their system, boop, 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 that we got another $100, and immediately they're going to do whatever they can to lend this $100 out. You get a receipt saying that you deposited $100 and that you can withdraw this $100 whenever you want, but the bank, as soon as you deposit this $100, is going to turn around and they're going to lend this money out to somebody else. So maybe your cousin Bunty can go out and buy himself a new wardrobe, buy himself some food on his credit card using the bank's money. The more money you deposit in the bank, the more money your bank is going to make, because as soon as you deposit your money in the bank, your bank is going to lend this money out to somebody else, and they're going to charge this person 3, 4, 5, maybe 20% interest, because they're charging crazy interest rates on credit cards while they pay you next to nothing in your savings account. So when you deposit money, your bank is paid and you get the peanuts. Now that your $100 is in your bank account, your bank will also get paid when it comes time for you to spend your $100, thanks to the help of plastic, things like credit cards and debit cards. Because when you go to Walmart or you go to Chipotle and you go and you spend your money, you swipe with that plastic, your bank is going to charge Walmart or Chipotle a fee to process this transaction. So Walmart or Chipotle are going to have to pay your bank a 1% or 2% fee every time that you swipe your card, and that's money your bank makes when you're spending money that you do have. The fee that a company like Walmart has to pay to process your debit card is less than the fee that it has to pay to process your credit card, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference to you, because whether you're paying with a debit card or a credit card or even with cash, you're still going to be paying $100 if you're buying $100 worth of groceries. The only time your bank doesn't make money when you spend your own money is when you buy things with cash, unless you have to pay an ATM fee to access your own cash. But it really doesn't make sense to buy things with cash if you can use a debit card or credit card, because this fee that your bank gets doesn't really affect you. That's something that the company has to pay. And if you use a credit card, you also get perks and cash back and rewards, which is why I only use a credit card. And if you want to learn more about why, I'll link a video where I explain that in the description below. If you're buying $100 worth of groceries from Walmart, it doesn't matter if you use a credit card or a debit card or cash, it's going to cost you $100 each way. Sure, Walmart might save some money if you pay with cash instead of a credit card, but on your end, it really doesn't matter, because it's going to cost you $100 each way, assuming you know how to use a credit card and you don't buy things that you wouldn't buy normally with cash with a credit card. And so if you know how to use a credit card the right way, you're just going to get some more perks and benefits for using a credit card instead of using cash, because it's going to cost you the same amount of money. But things really change when you spend $100 at Walmart buying groceries when you don't have $100, because now your bank is going to get paid from Walmart, because Walmart has to process your credit card transaction. And if you don't have $100 in your account to pay your credit card bill, now you're spending the bank's money, and the bank is going to charge you an insane interest rate, because now you got to pay interest on your credit card balance. It is your bank's dream to spend a whole bunch of money that you don't have and just spend this money using the bank's money, because that means you're going to be in debt for the rest of your life, and anytime you get paid, your money is going to be going straight to the bank in interest payments, leaving no money for you, which is good for the bank because now they're making all this money through interest, but it's not so good news for you, because now you're in debt for the rest of your life and you have no money to build yourself wealth. wealth. Even if you stay away from debt, if you spend money you don't have with your debit card, then your bank is going to charge you an overdraft fee, and so you still got to pay money for using money that you don't have. That's why banks made something like $11 billion in overdraft fees back in 2019. That's why the less you understand about money, the more money your bank makes, and we're going to turn that around. That way you can be the one making money, not just your bank. So now that you understand this, what can you be doing with your money that way your bank isn't the one making all the money? Well, the first thing you got to do is you got to get your money out of the bank, and there's an asterisk here because I want to make sure you understand what I mean. When you put your money in the bank, you deposit your money in your checking account, your bank is going to turn around and they're going to lend your money out to everybody else, everyone that they can get their hands on. That way the bank can get rich while you get nothing, because your savings account, your checking account is sitting here. It's flat. Well, anytime you deposit $1 in the bank is going to loan it out, and they're going to charge somebody 2, 3, 4, 5, or 20% interest depending on how they loan the money out. So the first thing you got to do is you got to stop letting the bank lend out all your money, and you got to be the one getting that return on your money. Now, there's a little asterisk here because you got to understand when and how much money to keep in the bank. So I have a few different bank accounts. I have a checkings account, which is where I spend my money out of. This is what's linked to my credit cards. So anytime I spend money, it's linked to my checkings account, and my checkings account pays for all my bills. I make sure that my checkings account has enough money for at least a couple months of expenses at any given time. But then I also have a couple savings accounts. I have a high interest savings account, which is where I keep my savings fund. This is where I keep my emergency cash, because you always want to keep somewhere between 3 to 12 months worth of expenses in a savings account liquid. This is money that if an emergency happens, if you lose your job, or if your kid gets hurt, or something goes wrong with your car, you can access your savings account money whenever you want. This is money I keep in a high interest savings account because this isn't money that I'm really touching, and I'd rather have this money grow faster than it would at a traditional bank account, so I keep it at a high interest savings account. And then I have another savings account, which is where I keep some cash that I want to invest, usually for real estate, and so anytime I got some extra cash, I put it in here. That way I can use this cash to go out and buy real estate with. If you want to learn more about what a high interest savings account is and how you can find one, our team wrote an amazing article on our website, theminoritymindset.com. I'll link it for you in the description below, which explains what it is. But my whole goal is I keep money in the bank that I need to spend in my checkings account, and I keep money in my savings account for emergencies, and then anytime I got extra cash, I want to get this money out. So the other savings account that I have to buy investments with, once I have enough cash in there, I'm going to use that cash to go buy something else. I'm going to go buy an investment property, and that way I take my money out of the bank, because my money in the bank isn't making me any money. It's making the bank money, but it's not making me any money. I also have an automatic withdrawal which goes into my stock market investments, because I don't want to keep too much money in the bank. I understand I got to have my money in my checkings account because I got to buy things. I got to have money in my emergency savings account, that way I'm protected from an emergency, but everything else I want to get out. Your bank doesn't want you to know this, because if you start taking your money and you move it into the stock market, or you move it into real estate, or you move it into cryptocurrency, you move it wherever, you get it out of your bank account, your bank is not happy, because now they have less money that they can lend out, and they have less money that they can make money off of, because now you are the one making money. Because when you take your money out of the bank, assuming out of your checkings account and out of your savings account, your emergency savings, you take your extra money out of the bank, and now you're putting it to work. That way it can make you money, because when all of your extra cash is in the bank, then your bank is using your money to make the bank money. I want you to use your money to make you money, which is why you got to get your extra cash out of the bank. Once you start to take your money out of the bank, don't be surprised if your bank looks at you a little bit differently. Like the first time I moved my money, my savings, to a high interest savings account outside of my traditional bank, I had a meeting with my bank manager over there, and she was not very happy because I was moving a sizable chunk of cash out of the bank to a different bank that was paying a higher interest savings account, and she was pretty upset. I mean, very visibly, because I was moving this money out of this bank to another bank, and the money was leaving this bank, so now they had less money that they could use to lend out to other people. And she called up a different bank manager, and they both tried to convince me to leave my money in this bank and not take it out and move it to another bank that was paying me a higher interest rate on my savings. And so when you take your money out of the bank, now your bank isn't making money, but you got to use it to make you money. Now, I understand a high interest savings account isn't really gonna make you money in the sense of beating inflation and as an investment, but as you start to take your money out of the bank to buy assets and investments, which are things that pay you for owning them, your bank is gonna be the one that's losing money, because now they don't have all the extra cash that they can lend out to other people, and so now you are the one making money, not your bank. The second thing you gotta do is you gotta stop financing liabilities, because when you're financing liabilities, you're paying interest to own something something that's losing value. And who's the one getting rich when you do that? It's not you, it's your bank. Liabilities are things that you buy that don't make you any money. These are things like cars and shoes and clothes. These are things that make you look nice if you have a bunch of nice liabilities, but they don't make you any money. They keep you broke. And the issue here is we live in a culture where it is completely normal to finance your car. It's completely normal to now start financing your clothes because of things like Affirm and Afterpay. And so we're entering this really debt-heavy culture where it is completely normal to just finance your everyday lifestyle. But when you do that, the person that's getting rich is not you, it's your bank. Because now you're spending all your money trying to buy a whole bunch of nice things that make you look rich, but you're going to spend the rest of your life paying these things off, when what you should be doing is using your money to buy things that will pay you instead of just paying your bank. The reason why this is so hard for so many people is not because of the looks you're going to get from your banker, it's because of the looks you're going to get from all of your friends when you stop having a nice car, when you stop having all the nice clothes, because now you're buying everything with cash. And so people don't get to see all the Gucci stuff, they don't get to see the fancy car, they just see you driving things that you can afford with cash, which isn't as attractive as buying things with the bank's money. Now there is a time and place when it makes sense to use the bank's money. Like if you wanted to buy a home, sure, go out and get a mortgage, because most people don't have $500,000 sitting in their bank account to go out and buy a home. But if you want to actually use the bank's money, you can use it to buy something that's going to make you money instead of just buying liabilities, which are things that lose you money. The most common example of this would be buying investment real estate, because now if you can go out and borrow some money to buy a home or an apartment complex that you can rent out to other people, now the goal is the people that are living in your property are going to pay your bills, they're going to pay your taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, and they're going to pay your mortgage. And on top of that, there should be some money left over to go into your pocket every single month. So this is a passive investment that you don't have to really work to earn the money on, because you have the tenants that are paying your rent, and your tenants are the ones that are paying your mortgage, and they're putting some money in your pocket every single month. If you are using the bank's money to buy an asset which is making you money, then sure, it makes sense. But if you're using the bank's money to buy liabilities which are keeping you broke but making your bank rich, then it doesn't make sense, because right now your goal should be to build your own wealth, not to make your bank rich. And the third and final thing that I want to mention on this is that your bank and your banker is not your financial advisor. It kills me to see this when people go to their bank and they ask them, how do I spend my money, and how big of a home can buy, and how much money should I borrow? It's like going to an insurance person and asking them, how much insurance can I buy? Your insurance person is always going to tell you more. Your insurance person's job is to sell you insurance, and so they're going to want to sell you as much as possible. Your bank's job is to lend you money, and so their job is to get you in debt and to keep you in debt for as long as possible. It is not your bank's job to look out for your financial wallet. It is not your banker's job to make you money. Your bank is just trying to make money for the bank, and so you gotta understand how to use your money the right way and understand who's on your side financially and who's not. If you do want to talk to somebody about real financial advice, talk to a financial advisor, talk to an accountant, talk to somebody who's going to be working on your side to help you build your wealth, because your bank's job is not.